Welcome to the 2026 Dialogue, a masterclass series by the HR Association of India. I am Neha Jagnani, and today we are diving into a perspective that has the power to reshape how HR is seen, experienced, and practiced within organizations. Our theme today is the HR leader as a change maker. You have more power than you think. To explore this shift, we are joined by Abhishek Gupta. Abhishek is the head of people care at ZebPay, one of India's oldest and most trusted crypto exchanges, where he leads the people strategy in a fast evolving industry. With over 15 years of experience across financial services, startups, and technology driven organizations, he brings deep expertise in HR strategy, performance management, talent development, and culture building. In addition to his corporate role, Abhishek is a visiting faculty at leading B schools and an active contributor to industry conversations through conferences, podcasts, and panel discussion. Known for his ability to connect business priorities with people strategy, he's passionate about shaping future leaders and driving meaningful workplace impact. Abhishek, thank you so much for joining. It's a pleasure having you.
Thank you, Neha. It's really a pleasure for me as well to be part of this platform and hope to contribute here as well.
Sure. Thank you so much. Looking forward to this exciting masterclass, Abhishek. So, to
Yeah.
begin with, my first question, Abhishek, is many HR professionals today, they feel like they are stuck into this, sort of an administrative role, with a very little influence. So, what would you say to them?
Interesting. I have heard HR being called many things over the years. The letter writing department, the hiring and finding people, the ones who plan the birthday cakes, and the all famous, the Rangoli people. Honestly, I get it. I get it why we call it. That's all right. But here's what I want to say to every HR professional who feels stuck and who's listening to our conversation. You are not the support act. You are the main stage. We need to understand that. Think about it, right? Every leader in in that organization was hired by HR. Every culture that company breathes was shaped by HR. Every policy that protects people, every team that works together, every talent that didn't quit, that has your fingerprints all over it, right? The
Right.
problem is not your power. The problem is that we have been so busy doing the work, we forgot to own it, to own the work. If doctors ran the hospitals the way the HR us runs some companies, I would say doctors would be scheduling their own surgeries from a spreadsheet. So that we need to understand. It's time to stop asking for a seat at the table, but start realizing that you build the table, right? That is very, very important. And one example which comes into my mind right now, a leading IT firm in Pune, if I'm not wrong, the CHR was the reporting to the board, and instead of saying 18% people left, she presented it as we lost 34 crores in hiring and retaining retraining cost this year. And here's how propose it to be fixed in 90 days. Trust me, every board member was looking at her, and she got the budget that she was asking for last 3 years. So that's the same data, different language, radical outcome. That's what I need to say on this.
Well, beautifully put. I think the way you started that, stop feeling that you're a support act, you're actually the main stage. So thank you so much for the example as well there. My next question, Abhishek, is can you share a moment in your own career where you realized that HR could truly drive transformation in an organization?
Yes, I think there was a point in my career where I was working with a team that had incredibly toxic dynamics.
Okay.
Attrition was high, morale was low, business was bleeding talent like a broken tap. Everyone was looking at the business problem. I looked at slightly differently on the people problem. What we didn't really need a new strategy per se. We needed leaders who could actually lead. So we redesigned how managers were deployed, how they were developed, how the feedback was given, how psychological safety was built in the system, quietly, consistently, without a big announcement. Within a year, Neha, the attrition dropped significantly. And the CEO just asked me one question, or our team rather, one question: what did you change in the business model? And I said, nothing actually. We changed the humans running it. Let that sink in. So I always say to my team, HR doesn't fix companies. HR fixes the people who fix companies. There's a difference between these two. So that's where I think what I realized is I stopped thinking of myself as an HR professional. and started thinking of myself as a more of a transformational architect, as I would like to say.
Sure.
Maybe fancy title, same salary, but a completely different mindset.
Sure, sure. I think the title that you just mentioned actually automatically changes the approach, how you present as an HR in an organization. So thank you so much for that example, Abhishek. My next question is, what is the one mindset shift that separates an HR professional who influences the boardroom from the one who is just executing HR processes?
I think only one, just one shift. Stop speaking the language of HR. Start speaking the language of business. I don't care how cliche that sounds, but that's it. What it is. When you walk into the boardroom and say employee engagement scores have come down, nobody flinches. But when you say that we are 60 days away from losing our top three performers or top three engineers, here's what it will cost us in revenue and delivery. Suddenly, everyone is very, very awake. The boardroom, let me tell you, Neha, doesn't run on empathy. It runs on numbers, risk, and growth. My job is to translate people into that language. That's what HR job is.
Sure.
Let me tell you, HR leaders who get ignored speak in feelings. HR leaders who get promoted speak in consequences. So feelings and consequences. And you know what? We spend so much time. There's a famous program for communication skills of the managers, right? We train managers, first-time managers, and whatnot. But nobody trained us to communicate with the CFO. Isn't it strange? So my advice, learn the P&L, understand the business, know what keeps the CEO up at night, and then show up with the HR solution to those problems. That's not selling out. That's growing up. An example that comes to my mind, somebody was telling me, other day, I think in a Pune-based manufacturing company, one of my friend working there, and he noticed that 70% of production errors basically traced back to the team's management first-time supervisors. That's the thing that they did. So, like what we do as an HR guy, we'll propose a manager training program for first time managers, which is very famous FTM's program that we run, right? But what that guy individual, that gentleman did is, instead of proposing a leadership training program, he walked into the board meeting with this, that, guys, poor supervision is costing us 8 crores per quarter in Reaver. A 40 lakh investment in the supervisor capability will give us 5x ROI, the supervisor capability. Now, this is a very different way to produce things. And this got approved in just 10 minutes. And what my friend told me, that the same program, he was trying to sell it to the board for last 2 times. And both times he got rejected. So
Sure.
that's where I think it's a business language that helps. That's what I would love to add here.
Absolutely. I think business acumen has become a very important competency in today's world, irrespective of what department you come from. Another thing which I think is hidden somewhere in your message is the art of storytelling. Whatever
Yeah.
is it that you're presenting in the boardroom has to tell a story, has to create that impact. Not just limited to numbers, but how you present it can create a real impact in the boardroom. So thank you so much for that, Abhishek. My next question is, in today's world of AI or hybrid work and constant change, how should HR leaders be redefining their role and their impact?
uh, talk of the town. AI is just talk of the town. And in fact, recently I was in a conference when someone really asked me that, are you really scared that AI will replace HR? And my answer, honestly, what I said, AI will replace the HR that was never really human to begin with. Let that sink in. That is where I am coming from the AI point of view. If your entire job is basically to send some offer letters, to processing paperwork, to scheduling the interviews, and all these kind of things, yes, an algorithm is coming after you, and that is without needing a lunch break for that matter. Right? They don't need a break for that matter. But here's what AI cannot do, Neha. I'm very clear about it. AI cannot sit across from a broken employee across the room and make them feel seen. AI cannot read the room in difficult leadership conversations. AI cannot build trust. AI cannot inspire. That I'm very, very clear about. So in this new world, if I'm talking about HR leaders, superpower, if I call it superpower, it's not efficiency because they are more, the algorithms are way more efficient than us. It's humanity at scale. That's very, very important.
Sure.
Hybrid work, for example, has given us a gift. It literally forced us to be more intentional about culture, connection, communication. The organizations which are thriving today are the ones where HR didn't really send a work from home policy to them. They really asked, how do we make people feel that they belong even through a screen? Now that becomes very, very important. So let me tell you very, very frankly that future of HR is not at all digital. The future of HR is deeply, unapologetically human,
Right.
powered by technology. That is the difference, right? Nobody is building an AI that genuinely cares. That's still our job, right?
Sure,
So I
sure.
think that's one thing that on the AI I would like to add here.
Absolutely. I think you cannot leave behind AI. That's something that facilitates you in a lot of things. But if you include that human touch, if you create an environment where people are heard, seen, and valued, people will automatically thrive, and AI can never replace the human part of it all. So thank you so
Yeah,
much.
let me also add a Unilever example, which I was just going through, right? Unilever, almost 2 million applications a year, they screen through AI, shortlist candidates in minutes. But here's the radical part. They then deliberately reintroduce human nature at every meaningful steps, like culture conversation, value alignment, will this person thrive here conversation kind of stuff. Unilever didn't really replace HR with AI. They use AI to give HR back its time, so HR can do what only humans can do. That's the model. Automate the transaction, but humanize the relationship.
Sure, sure. Absolutely. Very well said. Great example there. So, Abhishek, this brings us to the last question for today, which is what is your call to action for every HR professional watching this? What is the one thing that you want them to do differently starting tomorrow?
Okay. Okay. So I want you to do something whoever is listening to me right now. I want you to do something radical tomorrow morning. Before you open your email, before you check your pending approvals, before you look at your to-do list, ask yourself just one question. Whose career am I going to change today? Whose career am I going to change today? Not process, not policy, not compliance, career. Because Neha, that is why you got into this field. Not to manage headcount, but to change lives. And somewhere between the appraisal cycles and the exit interviews, we forget that. You
Sure.
have touched more lives than you realize. That is in HR, we touch more lives than we realize. Every person we hired got a chance. Every manager we coached became better for their team. Every culture initiative we ran made someone feel like they belonged. So you are not an HR professional, in my view.
Sure.
You are a career architect, a culture builder. And for many people, maybe you were the first person in that organization who actually listened to them. That is big thing. Own that. Walk taller, speak bolder. And the next time someone asks you what you do, don't say I'm in HR. Say I build the kind of organizations people don't want to leave. That is where I think that's the power. Use it and yeah, realize it.
Sure. Sure. I think it's one of the key parts of every HR professional is that you get an opportunity to add value to people's life in your capacity, and they pretty much have their hands on everything that they do, and they try to build that culture for people to thrive, to feel safe, and that is really something to be extremely proud of. So thank you so much, Abhishek, for your time. This brings us to the end of this masterclass, and thank you for sharing your insights today. It has truly added a lot of value to this conversation. You have actually also reminded us that influence really doesn't come with authority. It comes with
Yeah,
intent and genuine actions, which only humans can do, which only HR can do as a
absolutely.
function. So thank you so much for your insights today.
Thank you, Neha. I'm really glad that I could contribute here and hope to see you soon as well.
Thank you so much. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.